Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Referrals Podcast. Are you kidding me? Today, I feel like I need to yell, "Who let the dogs out? Who? Man, we are going to answer that age-old question today. I cannot wait for you to learn how and who let the dogs out. I cannot wait for that. But before we get to that, I have to first and foremost thank all of you. Are you kidding me? Thank you so much for making Referrals Podcast one of the top 100 in the United States. Are you kidding me with that? I mean, we're talking about referrals. This isn't marketing. Woohoo! Right? This isn't like Navy SEAL workouts, right? We're not doing that, right? You know what we're doing? We're talking about referrals every day, all the time. And you're listening to it while you're walking, or while you're working out, or while you're at work, or when you're just on downtime. And I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for watching it on YouTube. Thank you for listening to it, whether it's iTunes, Google, Stitcher, whatever it may be. And also, I have to give a huge shout out to some of you that have gone to GenGen, right? You've joined the Generosity Generation at joingengen.com. From listening to the podcast. Listen, if you're listening to the podcast, you're our type of people. Join the largest referral group on the internet. We're talking Generosity Generation. There are referrals traded today, and there will be referrals traded tomorrow. Do you want to be a part of those? JoinGenGen.com. We'd love to have you. Without further ado, I have got to introduce you to one of my best friends, not just in the real estate business, but period. This is a guy who will have a phone call out of the blue sometimes. Maybe he's probably on his schedule, I'm sure. And he gives me a call, and we have this conversation. And it's like, oh, how are things going with Max? How's things going? And he's getting married. By the way, congratulations. That's awesome. And then he'll just we'll have this loose conversation, and then I'll go, what can I pray for you about? It's like, oh my God. It's like, wow. I get chills just but it's like, man, how about somebody else praying about you? Is that a type of friend that you want? Today, you get to learn from one of my best friends and one of the great realtors in the history of this country, Mr. James Nellis. Welcome to Referrals Podcast, James.
Thank you, Michael. I am pumped up just from the intro. This is going to be an exciting day.
I'm telling you, it's the thing that it was just like talking to Sherry. It's like, why have we not had James before? And I know you're super busy. It was probably he's super busy. He doesn't have time for this. But I will tell you, before anybody listens anymore, one of the things they need to do, they like podcasts. They need to check out your Legacy Elevated podcast. And so tell us a little bit about that before we jump right into the heart and soul of this.
We thought of the concept of Legacy Elevated. There's so many successful businesses. However, how many of them are getting beyond the P&L to truly impact the local communities for generation? How they create generational wealth, not just for their business, but through the community. And so we were empowered by that to how do we equip these businesses to do that at a high level. So we had the opportunity to interview multiple businesses, different areas, different parts of the country to hear how they're doing that at a high level. It's refreshing to me. I love listening to how they do it. And each business owner, each business is dynamic and different. And so by listening to that, it even shapes my own local real estate company and how we proceed with it. So I just love the idea. And I know that's your podcast, is get out of the numbers, the P&L, beyond the P&L. How are you making a difference? And so it's a really fun podcast. I'd encourage you to listen.
People are making a difference as well as making money. You got to love it. That's an awesome thing. I love that you're doing that. And everybody needs to check out Legacy Elevated, the podcast led by Mr. James Nellis. I love it. So, all right. So give us a quick snapshot of your real estate career and the last 4 or 5 years in the business. And then I want to talk about 2020 and 2021, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, quick snapshot.
So, and you know me, I'm a bullet point kind of guy. So
That's right.
we'll make it quick. Third generation realtor. My great grandfather in Kentucky literally was the bank and the real estate company. They would bring checks, they would bring cash to his farm.
Wow.
Fast forward, my mother started the real estate company here in the DMV. For those that are wondering, that's not Department of Motor Vehicles. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It requires a different license in each jurisdiction, which is crazy because within 30 minutes, you can go through all three. Started in 1983. My sister and I grew up in the business saying, we will never do this. You have no life as a real estate agent. Fast forward, myself, my sister, her husband, were all involved in this boutique family business that we love. Last year, we helped over 200. By the way, for myself, I get out of the deals or transactions. It's all families and service. And so last year in 2020, we served 212 families, whether they were buying, selling, or investing here in the DMV. And there's 25 of us, which is, we're like a large, small business, if that makes sense, where if we include all of our agents and all of our staff, we're a number of 25.
Wow. That's awesome. And 200, and you've been doing 200 transactions for a while. You know, I remember back even 2006, 7, 8, 9, you know, you're over 200 and rocking and rolling. And here's the other thing that people need to know is, you know, you did 200 transactions, but you're doing a lot of other stuff too, you know. So he is an entrepreneur as well as a real estate guy. And I need everybody to know that. So 2020 hit everybody very awkwardly, right? COVID hits, quarantine hits. We do 2 months without business basically. And so how did you zag when the world zigged in 2020? What was your adaptation?
Well, I've been told, Michael, over time that there's no need for me to be more honest. So let me explain what I would say was a travesty to our industry. And I won't point fingers. I won't say anything.
Yeah.
When this first happened, before anybody knew about PPP, before anybody knew about where money would come, I know many contemporaries that just went ahead and fired all their staff. Like they saw it happen and they're like, I'm going to get ahead of this. And they just literally laid everybody off. And I thought, wow, what culture are you setting? What example are you setting if at the first hurdle, you're like, okay, I'm firing everybody. We did the opposite. Within 1 week of kind of understanding what was happening, we reached out to everybody that worked for us and said, you know what, your job's not in jeopardy. We have the savings. We'll get through it. We'll figure out a way. Things could change. We might have to adapt, but everyone's keeping their job. And I think that was important as a business leader and as people are listening to this, that the people that have said, you know what, I'm going to put my faith of my career in an investment with your business. That's important that you're out front saying what it's going to look like. So I would say that was step one, because gosh, if everyone's worried about if they're going to get fired the next day, they're not going to do a good job for you, nor for the client. Right. So we had that stability in a world that wasn't stable. Yeah. Right. Now I will say DMV, the governors, and, you know, cause it kind of became almost like Europe, right? Each different jurisdiction had their own rules. We were pretty blessed that we weren't shut down like, say, Pennsylvania or Michigan or California. I will say, someone said, James, if you could do it all over again, what would you do? Well, in 2019, I would have become a loan officer. And I mentioned that because you're asking about 2020. Every bank and loan officer I know had their biggest year they've ever had in 2020. Makes sense, right? When you go from 4% down to 2.5%, everyone's doing one of two things. They're either going to refinance or they're going to buy. And many, what was interesting in 2020 is many buyers couldn't buy because of limited inventory and they kept getting beat out. So I will tell you this, from a real estate community, man, everyone's looking outside of our industry saying, oh, you should love being a real estate agent. Everyone within the industry is saying, I'm exhausted. I'm writing 5 to 10 offers for every single client, and thankfully, given our background and ingenuity, like we had ways to win, and maybe we'll get into that, but we had ways to win in competitive markets. But take that aside, you're still doing more effort than you probably ever did before if you're an agent of 10 or 15 years, right? I've been doing this for over 25 years. So to me, that was an interesting concept in First off, how do you create a stable environment just for yourself and those that are employed with you? Beyond that is, what does this market look like when everyone's looking from the outside saying, oh, you're just cashing checks, right? And what does it look like for having harmony within your own family and your own life? Because you're probably spinning your wheels and spending more hours for each individual client. Right. And so as people look at the numbers and they say, I want to do 50 homes, I want to help 100 families, 200 families, you're working, 1.5 to 2 times the work that you did before. And so I would say that was a little bit of a shift in mentality. And in watching for, there's a new concept. And Michael, I don't think it was out before, buyer fatigue. I don't know if that was even a concept. No. Even back in 2004, 5, and 6, when it was really hot. But now that's become common nomenclature, right? Everybody's saying, oh, buyer fatigue. Well, you know what? Since this is geared towards real estate agents and the real estate community, there is real estate fatigue. Yeah. And that is weighing in on people. And that's what I love, Michael, about what you bring to it, because I believe the greatest way to defeat fatigue beyond trying to live a world of balance is that world of gratitude, right? And honing in on how thankful you are. Don't be upset with the fact that, oh my goodness, I have to show 5 different clients because they all lost last week. Instead, I have the opportunity to change 5 lives and 5 families as they start the journey of building their generational wealth.
Yeah. Change your got to get to.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I got to show it. No, you get to. You get to. I mean, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of new agents would be blessed and thankful if they had one that they get to show. They wouldn't got to show anybody. So buyer fatigue for sure, real estate agent fatigue for sure. Let me ask you this real quickly is we do have a lot of realtors that listen to the show, but everybody that listens is a consumer. What are 2 or 3 ways to win in a multiple offer situation? Like, what did you do to win? And I'm genuinely curious into what made that happen for you guys or how you won.
No, man, peeling back the curtain. Do I give away the good stuff? I mean, I guess I do because it's Michael's podcast. Let me give you some key concepts. Now, let me clarify this. And when I'm speaking out in public, I always say this. If I'm on a stage, I'm not your broker. I'm not your attorney.
That's
okay.
Right. That's right.
So proof it in your own market. However, there's some specific things you can do right now to win. So let's say
nothing like a podcast with a disclaimer, baby. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I love it.
So number one thing that you can do is that doesn't cost you any money is you can increase that earnest money deposit. So instead, if your industry average is 1 to 2% of that $500,000 home, instead of doing 10,000, you do 50,000 or 100,000. Buyer letters have become kind of commonplace. So you have to do a pivot to that or a twist to that. I can tell you this, I see generated computer or Word document letters all the time. So take an extra 5 minutes and have your buyer handwrite it. I know you love handwritten thank you cards, Michael. Handwritten buyer letters push you to the top, right? And now I know at some point somebody's saying, yeah, but NAR said, put that aside, figure out with your broker and attorney. Beyond that, and I would say this is the secret, we have so many military. We're actually specialized for military clients coming to the DMV, obviously with the Pentagon and with all the bases here. VA loans. I've had so many clients. This is a travesty, Michael. I have so many buyers that come to me and say, James, I know I can't use my VA eligibility. I'll have to do a conventional loan. I'll have to put down 20%. And I'm like, what? Who told you that? And someone in real estate, someone in lending told them that because my offer will never get accepted. Here's what I can tell you, Michael. Over 30% of our business is VA. And I can tell you that we're very successful in getting it approved even when competing against conventional, because within our contract, and I can tell you this, the majority of the country has this as well. We can change, and this is a definite secret. We can change our down payment at any time, as long as it does not an adverse effect to the seller and you settle on time. So what does that mean? As a VA loan, by the way, there's no cap now, but as a VA loan, if I'm buying an $800,000 home, I can show, as long as I have the money, it has to be in good faith. As long as I have the money that can technically get cashed out, I could show 20% down. I could show $160,000 down, show up on the day of settlement with 0 money down. Completely legal, completely ethical. But here's what you have to understand. Buyers buy based on emotion, justify with logic and data. You've heard that before. I want you to understand sellers sell also based on emotion. And if the seller is looking at 4 offers, one's all cash, and the 4th is 0 money down, what do you think he's going to go with?
All cash, baby.
Right. And so, and I'll tell you this, in DC, it got so super competitive. Here's one, I'll give you one other example of how to win. The seller has their own closing costs. And in DC, it's called recordation fees. Well, rather than increase the sales price and get bid up on a sales price because of escalation clauses, instead of doing that, we've offered, hey, we're going to give you list price. However, we're going to pay half of your recordation fees, which automatically is worth another 15 or 20,000.
Yeah.
So there's ways, what I would say is there's ways to stay above the fray as long as you can explain it. So one last thought on this: when you're competing, we've started doing multiple offer spreadsheets to show the value of ours. We've started doing the math for the agents because if you're listening to this, you understand that not all agents are equal. Not all experience is equal, right?
That's right.
And so we've started doing the math for them so that they know, okay, yes, it's listed at 800 and this offer is really worth 850, even though the sales price is only 825. And one last thing, you've seen people waiving appraisals, waiving financing and all of that. Here's one trade secret. If you're putting down 20% or more, a lot of local lenders will allow you to waive the appraisal right away, right up front. So now you can have a more powerful offer without your buyer having to bring an extra to closing. And let me tell you this, and this is a tragedy. Hopefully this changes, Michael. Inside trader secret. Well, I won't say the name of the bank. There's a big box bank right now that has put out the agenda that I want every appraisal coming in low. So I'll give you two examples. We had one at 1.2. It came in $35,000 light. It should have easily appraised for 1.2. We went back with numbers. We did what we were supposed to do as the expert. We actually switched them to another local lender who had no problem with the appraisal, by the way. Fast forward to that big box bank who said, oh, no, we don't look at value again. They all of a sudden looked at it again and brought it in at value.
Oh, come on.
Another one, 1.4 was the ratified sales price at 1.4 million. We had value and comps to show 1.5. That one came in $90,000 light. We had to go back, push back. Finally, they came back and said, oh, okay, we see the value at 1.4. So I'm not going to name any big box banks, but what I know you've taught your people is be with the locals, the local banks, the local experts, that you won't fall prey to some of that. Michael, I thought it was crazy because I thought from 2010 forward, they stopped this manipulation from behind the scenes. Not true.
Not true. No, that's sad. That's amazing. And ways to win that's like drop the mic, man. That was awesome. And so let's talk about the burnout lifestyle, right? I mean, it's like, so if you were going to give advice to some of these agents and lenders and warranty reps and title companies, attorneys that are in the real estate world right now, they are burnout. What are a couple of words of advice that you would give to them?
Well, create the time. If the time's not already allocated, whatever you're doing at that time will run over. So if you allocate 30 minutes for something, that's great. But if you just say this afternoon, I'm going to do X, guess what? It won't take 30 minutes. It might take 2 hours of your time. If you allow for people to just interrupt your day, same thing, right? You can get pulled away. Here's one trade secret that I love within the real estate community. Guess what? When was the last time that someone else called you before 9 a.m.? You probably can't think of, maybe even before 10 a.m. Yeah. So if you really want to value your day at a higher level, do the things that you normally can't accomplish for yourself before 9 a.m., before 10 a.m., before your day starts. And then the powerful part of it is keep lead generation, whatever that looks like to you, in the morning. Because it's never going to happen in the afternoon. It's kind of like working out. You know that, Michael, right? Yeah. If you work out in the morning, even if you don't like it. Because if you push it to the afternoon or to the evening, you'll always be too tired, too lazy, too whatever it is. And this is speaking from a recovering lazy person, right? So I know what that is, to keep pushing it off, right? Yeah. So I would say that self-care and that self-balance comes from creating the time, putting it in your calendar right away, right up front. You know, not booking things during different times. Now, here's the problem. And you know, I love the F word of real estate, right? Flexibility. And that's also a problem. And the more flexible you are, the less balance you have. And for those that are listening to this and they're solo practitioners, they're thinking, well, if I don't pick up the phone, I'm going to lose the lead. right? If someone doesn't answer, absolutely, I can completely understand that. But know the concept of this time is just for my family.
That's
This
right.
time is just for this. It's date night. It's time with my kids. It's time with whatever. You know, it's funny. I had a good friend. They weren't in the real estate industry and they were totally burned out, right? From their season of work, it was the worst time ever.
Yeah.
And they said, James, I don't even have time to get together with you. And I'd love to do that. And I was like, here's what I want you to do. Moving forward, one, because I knew if it was more than one day, they just wouldn't do it. I said,
That's right.
1 day a week, I want you to block out 2 hours. And I wanted you to put James time in there. They said, what? I said, yeah, put James time in there.
That's right.
James, I don't have time. No, I understand that. You're not going to meet with me.
That's right.
But now if anyone wants that time, I'm sorry, I'm with James during that time.
There you go.
Right. And so you block out that calendar so that no one else can fill it. And if you don't protect your time, no one else will.
I love that. And we always talk about the best reply when you have me time on the schedule or James time scheduling is, I have an appointment. You know, I have an appointment. When somebody says, can you show me homes Friday night at 7:00? No, I already have an appointment. The appointment might be you with your family, but they don't understand family time. What people understand is appointments. The only excuse that you can ever have with a client is that you're with another client. That's it. That's the only thing they understand. So just say you have an appointment. You know, you have an appointment. No, I can't make it. I already have an appointment during that time, which also shows you're busy, right? So I love that.
And your family and your loved ones are going to love the fact that they are your appointment, that they are written into your calendar and that shared with them. And that's something they have to look forward to. Even if it's, you know, on Friday nights from 7 to 10, we're going to watch a movie, like whatever it is, that it's already scheduled, it's already booked, and they can have comfort in the fact that they are a priority, right? That's what it really says. When you create in your calendar, whatever this is a priority. If you want to know yourself for the last week or even the last year, what your priority was, just look back at your calendar.
That's right.
Right. That was your priority. And frankly, you know, that was your God, right? That's where you spent your time. You mentioned 2020 to 2021. Here's what's fun about it. There is a reprioritization from everyone I know, whether real estate or not, of what's important. And there's a full day event I do, which is called identity selling. And here's what's interesting is people had identity in the wrong things. People had identity in their favorite sports team, in their favorite musical band, in this, and this, right? And that's okay. That's a fun outlet, but their identity was in it. So many people had what I would like to call an identity crisis, right? Over 2020, when everything was shut down, and then they were focused and forced to focus on their internal perspective, on their family, on whatever it was. And you know what? Here's the challenge. Some people found out that they didn't like it. Others, which is part of I enjoy, they fell back in love with what they should have had as a priority the entire time.
Wow.
So when you're looking at blessings from a personal perspective, I would say that, Michael, is that it reinforced the time I have with my family and why that's important. Beyond that, from a business perspective, what I love is, yes, maybe China can see every Zoom, but we're on Zoom now. But what I loved about Zoom was I always felt the pressure of I have to be in the office so I can be with my people, but get back to say early 2000s and even late 90s. We actually had those old school webcams on everyone's computer.
That's right.
Well, eventually they would not work. They'd unplug or whatever it is. But now with the Zoom culture, what's beautiful is we actually have 3 different Zooms running every day from 9 to 5.
Wow.
The one Zoom is for our listing coordination team. The second Zoom is for our marketing team. And the third one is for our ISAs. And the power of that is that anytime I can pop in there, I can answer questions, we can do feedback, we can role play, we can do whatever's needed, but there's not this delay of, oh, well, James was out or Nicole or whoever was gone and they were gone all day. I don't know what to do next. And I don't have to be in the physical office. And during COVID, neither did they, right? Everybody was working from home and from a pretty high level. Now, I will say moving forward in 2021, I love the fact that people are back in the office. I think there's some natural symmetry that you get and with the culture and with everything else that you don't have when everyone's online.
100%. I love it. I love it. And that's one of the zags of 2021 is a lot of people are doing more in-office esprit de corps building, right? More team meetings, more team huddles, more just getting together for lunch, You know, it's not, I mean, I heard from a top producing team that they just got together, ate lunch, and it wasn't a meeting about real estate. It was just they broke bread together. And it's like they needed that esprit de corps. They just wanted to get together. I love that. You know, I agree. We can take what we learned in 2020, mix it with, you know, what we knew before 2020, and the combination's a pretty effective solution. I love that.
Yeah.
So
one of the fun things that we call it fun day. And the thing that I hated was we were missing our fun days. So Michael, I don't know if you even knew that we did that. So once a month, it was decided by everybody, by committee, what we would do. And we've done everything. We've done literally from jumping out of a plane. We've done skydiving as a fun day. By the way, we only had 3 people participate. We had gun shooting at a range.
There you go.
Know, we've done everything that's out there, right? But not everyone enjoys whatever it is. We've done, of course, Top Golf and all those type of things. But what's fun is there was that anticipation. Everyone is excited of, oh, this is the day that we're doing X, you know? And I'm happy that, you know, post COVID that we're able to get back to that of, hey, we're all going to go here. You know, we even looking at for this next year, doing a cooking class together. Right.
There you go.
So it's just fun things, like you said, outside of the real estate industry where everyone can get together and have that chemistry besides, hey, did you hit this deadline and are you ahead on this project?
That's right. Or, you know, did you meet your quota? Did you get your number of sales, right? What's your commission? That whole thing. And I think that's one of the beauties of the real estate business in general is that we don't just get together to do business. You know, we get together because it's cool people hanging out and we can build that. Like Fun Day. I love that. I love Fun Day. And you even had a gun day for your Fun Day. Maybe even did it on Sunday. But here's the thing is that's an event. Right. That is an event. And sometimes sometimes we forget that we can have events for our own team. So I love that. And that's such a great segue into, you know, one of the things that I loved that you did a while back was, you know, you celebrated National Donut Day by buying everyone in your network donuts. Right? You invited them all to come down, and why don't you explain what you did with National Donut Day, and then let's get into, you know, hashtagerific. Hashtagerific, right? There we go.
So for those that don't know, there is a National Day calendar online. You can Google it. You can find every day. It's crazy. Every day has 1, 2, or even 5 concepts that they're saying this is the day. We even celebrated a Global Beetle Day for the Beatles, right? Last week. And so the concept of it is take something that people love already and how do you show appreciation to your clients? And so National Donut Day, I mean, who doesn't love donuts, right? So because we sell throughout the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, what those listening don't know, and let me explain this, DC is considered neutral territory. Okay. It's got traffic, everything else. People are willing to go in the city, right? That's where the Nationals are. That's where things happen, right? Marylanders will not go to Virginia. They will not cross the river. Virginians will not go to Maryland. They don't want to, right? It's a foreign country. And so it's a unique perspective because, like I said before, in 30 minutes, you can be on all 3. Right. So what we realized that with our large team, we had to go beyond, you know, Michael, I would love it if we were in a small town and everything happened within, 5 miles. That would be
so easy, wouldn't it?
That is not the DMV. Right.
Yeah.
And so we proactively marketed for Donut Day, said that we were giving away donuts and all you had to do was show up. And then we had a map of the multiple areas throughout the DMV where people could go for free donuts on us. And the beauty of it is we did not rent out the entire restaurant or the store or anything like that. We literally set up with permission from each of these companies and said, we're going to buy donuts. They're like, okay.
Yeah, that's what we do. We sell donuts. You want to help us sell donuts? Okay. Right.
Oh, they loved it. And every general manager was completely on board with it, was excited about it. And as people came in, there were different levels of it. But here's what was fun. There was no minimum cost we had to hit in any of the donut places. And so, and the social media push that we got from it was amazing. Like everybody, even the people that didn't want donuts were excited about it and shared the post and got involved with it. So they don't have to be there to appreciate it. And I know you preach that with all of your events is whatever are events that are outside the box that people want to align with and get excited about.
That's right. And had fun. And it was donut day. So it wasn't Thanksgiving. It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't, all the normal days. Most people don't even know when donut day is, So the fact is you did donut day, bottom donut. But the thing that I love is that you didn't have to buy very many donuts. And yet there were 25,000 impressions, engagement, and people were talking about it. I mean, even in the real estate community, we were all talking about it. So it was one of those where it didn't cost very much to do. People always think, well, events are going to cost a lot. And it's amazing how many I Love You lattes I've had, invited 25,000 people over several times, and then I spend like $47 on coffee.
Yep.
And it's like we got to realize that the power is not necessarily in the event; it's in the invitation and it's in the follow up. It's in the communication around the event that we get all the good stuff. So, also, you're doing a lot with charity and you partner with charities on your events, and I love that you're doing that. You do something pretty cool every time you sell 100 homes. Like, can you talk about what you do with the 100th home you sell and partnering with charity?
Yeah. And if you're listening to this podcast and you've never sold 100 homes in a year before, and maybe it's only 25 or 30, I want you to understand the concept, because you could do it on the 15th home, the 25th home, whatever it is. Don't be limited by how many homes you sell or what that looks like. So think March Madness meets American Idol. So what's fun about this program is anyone in our local market. So our rules are simple. You have to be a 501c3, and you have to be serving the local community, which, by the way, if you're a real estate company, you already are. So if you're doing those two things, anybody can sign up. Now we do have an asterisk that says your ministry or charity, whatever it is, has to align with our core values. So at the Nellis Group, our core values are faith, leverage, excellence, and the X factor. And so if it aligns with that, then fantastic. Now, here's what's fun. We've had as little as 30 charities sign up. We've had over 100 charities sign up.
Wow.
It really doesn't matter. The magnitude is this. You now go from anyone to register to giving them, and we have a whole playbook for this, Michael, that I'm happy to get any of your listeners if they're interested. So where they go to their entire database. So think about this. You're already supporting that charity. You give that charity a way to support your business now. So now it's a strategic approach where they're sending their entire database to your website, which comes down to the American Idol part. So they got to go to your website to vote, to bring it down to the top 6. Then they have to vote a second time for those that get the top 6 for the top 3. And we give away a minimum of $10,000 for every 100th home that we sell. Usually I get the question, well, James, what happens if that 200th home is $1 million property or $2 million properties? Well, great. Then we give away the 30,000 or the 60,000, right? So we're genuine about whatever it is. It's interesting in real estate. We've had settlements delayed or pushed back or canceled to where all of a sudden what we thought was the 100th home is now the 98th or is now the 102nd, right? So it's kind of interesting from that perspective. But I love it because it's an opportunity to truly be strategic with your charities. And here's what I will tell you, Michael, on every home, anytime we meet with a seller or a buyer or an investor, before they sign to work with the Nellis Group, and this is interesting, we have one piece of paper that they sign before they sign anything else. And that piece of paper says, you know what, as doing business with the Nellis Group, I want to support one of these 10 charities. And they pick the charity before they ever sign anything else. And we ask them simply this, Michael, as a result of you doing real estate business with the Nellis Group, we're going to donate on your behalf out of our commission to one of the following charities. Which one jumps out to you?
Wow.
And it's a fascinating conversation.
What's your reaction to that?
People are blown away. Because most agents, even though within the real estate community, I would say that we, of course, it's a little bit biased, but I would say we're one of the most giving professional industries that are out there.
Yeah. 100%.
However, most real estate companies and agents are really bad at marketing their alignment with charity. So by us shifting this focus of, I don't care about selling your home first, I care about which charity you want to impact first, it just changes the conversation. And if you've ever been there and it's a cold room, the room gets warm right away. They're now open to the concept of, oh, you're not just about the dollar or the commission. You really want the community to be changed or impacted as a result. It's just an amazing concept. So that's we call it ETD, every transaction donation. that we partner with in our 100th home. And, you know, it was interesting. I got the concept from another real estate agent up in Michigan, Martin Bauma, years ago. And I know other agents that have repeated it, but here's what's interesting, Michael, and I want to challenge anyone that's going to think about this. Most of the people that I know that use this concept for their local community, they only do it once. They do it for the 100th home.
Right.
They don't do it for the 200th or the 300th. Here's my recommendation. If God has blessed your business to such a level that you're selling 100, 200, 300 homes, you should be doing it for every 100th home that you sell. You should be doing it for every 25th home that you sell, whatever it is, given your price point. I will, one quick story about this, Michael. When I first brought this out to my company, I was like, okay, here's the deal. Every 100th home, we're just going to give away the entire commission.
Yeah.
Like there was no response.
Yeah.
Like no response. So everybody's just like looking at me, and most people furrowed their brows. And I'm like, I guess they don't get it. So I re-explained it with more enthusiasm. Still nothing.
Yeah.
And then it finally clicked, Michael. It finally clicked. Oh, okay. So then I said, let me be clear, Michael, if it's your sale, I will make you whole and still give away the entire commission. Oh,
yeah.
People clapping. Everything. This is the greatest idea ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I'm still getting paid.
Bottom line. Exactly. And that's nothing against them. It's a question that I'm sure anybody would have that works within a company of how does it impact me? And I think that goes back to one of the other lessons I learned from 2020 to 2021. You got to take care of your people first. That's right. Too many people are hard on their people and they love on their clients. Well, you got to do both. You got to love on your people and love on your clients. And that was a huge concept and a way that we changed kind of our trajectory of what it looks like, which, like I said, I'm excited to get back to that, as well as, and I know you're an author of many books, Michael, our book club. And we've actually used one of your books in one of our book clubs where, you know, we read a book every month. We've now noticed with the trajectory of business that we read one book typically every 45 or 60 days.
There you go.
And what's fun about that is every week we come back together and we listen to people's insight, and they have to list the page number, the thought that was in the book, the next action step. So as a result of this thought, like, what are you going to change? What are you going to do differently? And it's fun to see from everyone from W-2s to independent contractors to our directors, whatever it is. It's been enlightening to see what they get out of the books.
I love it. And I love that you're treating, you know, everybody says the client is number one. Well, really, your staff and team are number one. That's what I think we're getting from this entire podcast. It's just like, you know what, we treat our clients awesome, but who are the people who are treating our clients awesome? Mm-hmm. We need to treat the people awesome who are treating our clients awesome. And that's what you're doing, and you're being a great role model for. And I've always loved that about you. We got to talk about, you know, who let the dogs out, right? So we got to talk about, like, you had NGA as your hashtag forever. Like, I remember NGA, right? Nellis Group Ambassadors. And so tell us hashtagophobia, hashtag whatever, hashtag Geddon. I don't know. We're going to have to figure out.
Right?
Hashtag
dominate. Oh man, we got dominated. So we were hashtag NG Ambassador forever.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, I've been teaching social media and how to leverage it with your business since the early 2000s. Right. Mm-hmm. Even wrote a book and created a concept called social fusion before it was even possible. Right.
Yeah.
But here's what's amazing. So we've been using this hashtag forever. And for those that don't know what a hashtag is, hopefully you do by now, but that would be if you wanted to watch sports, you turn to the channel ESPN. All you're going to see is sports. Same thing with a hashtag. You put it in the search toolbar, hashtag NG Ambassador. In the past, all you would see is Nellis Group events, Nellis Group ambassadors, everything else. Well, I noticed a couple years back, I don't see any of our things. And all I'm seeing is dogs, like terriers and all these other dogs. And I'm getting completely ruled out. I remember searching for it, and I had to go down like 3 pages just to find a
yourself.
Nellis, right?
Yeah.
And I looked it up. I found out that NG now stood for Norman's Gang. So who let the dogs out was Norman's Gang ambassadors. By the way, you cannot own a hashtag. The way that you control or dominate a hashtag is by having more posts than everyone else.
There you go.
Well, and likes and comments. Well, who doesn't love puppies? Who doesn't love dogs? And so we got pushed out of our original hashtag. So then I thought, okay, well, let's be short and cool about it. We'll go to NGVIP, right? Makes sense. But here's the problem. I did a search for that, and then I found that overseas there were hairstylists and salons using NGVIP already. So I didn't want to get pushed out again. So now our hashtag Nellis Group VIP.
There you go.
Here's the thing. I would love for somebody to steal that, Michael, because if
Yeah.
they go to Nellis Group VIP, they're going to automatically go to nellisgroup.com. So we had to make it so specific. And I encourage all your listeners right now, make your hashtags so specific that no one else wants to steal it or use it. An example was, I lost the sale of a property we should have sold. It was a past client. And their response to me was, James, I didn't know you worked that far out. Right. And that's an education. That's my own fault.
Lesson.
So that's when we changed our hashtag. Our original one was just hashtag the Nellis Group, which we still use. But then it was hashtag Nellis Group sells Metro DC. So the entire Metro DC, because like you said, some people don't understand DMV, right? They think to go get their car. But then what I realized, Michael, and you'll love this because real estate's relationship based. I didn't like the feeling of tagging my client in a photo and then saying that we sold them. I didn't like that. And so a couple years back, we trashed that. It was a shame because we had a lot of swag, Nellis Group swag. You know that I love putting it on everything. That said, Nellis Group sells Metro DC. I was like, I don't like that concept, especially when we're a service industry. So we made a quick change to that where it's Nellis Group serves Metro DC.
There you go.
And I could see that our clients love that they embrace that. That's on all of our swag, on everything else. And so I highly encourage someone listening to this that runs their business, whether you're a solo practitioner or a team, come up with hashtags that can be used by you and forward facing to the consumer that they'll want to use it as well at a high level where they feel good about it. My clients love putting out their hashtag Nellis Group VIP, hashtag Nellis Group serves Metro DC. They love having that. And it's been a fun learning lesson, a humble one too, to realize that I got overtaken by a dog group.
That's right.
And it can happen to any of us.
That's right. I'll tell you, you don't want to battle with the dogs, right? No. It's the puppies are always going to win. They're just
it's
cuter.
Funny you say that. Oh, absolutely. They're definitely cuter than I am. A lot of people are. So what I realized was you can't beat them, join them.
That's
so
right.
Here's a fun concept. We're consistently looking for new charities, and we found a new charity called Hero Dogs. Have you heard of Hero Dogs before? So Hero Dogs is a fantastic organization that allows you to actually, they take a dog that's out of a litter, a newborn dog, and they train them to parallel with PTSD. Wow. So a veteran that comes back and a veteran that has PTSD, they will pair them up with a dog by design.
So, all right. So Hero Dogs paired up with a veteran and a dog, and the organization does that.
Yeah. And you can donate money to it. But what's really cool, and we are such service minded, and it's for our military, that it's helping people prevent suicide when they come back with PTSD. Now, Hero Dogs, you can just contribute to them, right? You could just let people choose that. What I found was I started seeing something unique. So this charity has it down for online branding. They give every dog their own unique IG channel. So an Instagram channel just for that dog where they're going to post all the time. And so I found out, and it was not cheap. So it costs $5,000 where you can basically have total sponsorship of the dog.
Oh, I love
so that's
that.
what we did. We said, you know what? We're going to donate $5,000 to Hero Dogs because we love their concept and what they're doing. And so then you'll love this, Michael. We then did a fun contest. We did a voting contest for names. So we reached out, every single agent in our company went to social media and said, what is a fun name for a dog that has to be a veteran, whether they're a fallen veteran or active veteran or they're retired, that we can use their name. And here's what's fun. We came up with a top 11 from all of our agents. We came up with 11 names. We then sent everybody to our website to vote for a name.
I love it.
And, I'm
what was the final? Do you remember what the final was? The final winner?
Yeah, I do.
Chief or?
Yansky.
No. Wow.
Yansky. And it's for a fallen veteran in 2018, unfortunately lost his life in Afghanistan. And it was just an amazing tribute. And that's how they love to do it, after naming it after a veteran and something unique. So it was a last name. And the reason I know his last name is because when we went to voting, I can't tell you, I didn't know how many Yanskis there were. Like they just kept, because you have to fill in your name. They kept seeing all these different Yanskis and cousins and everybody else vote for the name. And it was just such a cool outpouring. And I can't, this is so new, Michael. I can't wait on, hopefully my agents don't listen to this because it's going to be a surprise. Our marketing team knows, but next week on July 7th, they're bringing, none of our teams met them yet. They're bringing the hero dog Yansky to our meeting. So it's going to be a really cool event and a surprise to our agents where they get an opportunity to meet the hero dog that will eventually and soon one day be paired up with a veteran.
Wow. That is, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's all around awesome. I love where your heart is, dude. And, the other nice thing is just like you are a leader in listings, leverage, and leads as well. And you're also a leader when it comes to love, right? Incorporating love in your business and loving on your clients, loving on your staff. You're such a great example for all of us. I'm telling you, this is a podcast that people are going to listen to over and over again, and they're going to want more of you, and they're going to go to Legacy Elevated to get more of James Nellis. I really appreciate your coming on and sharing your wisdom today on the Referrals podcast, brother.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I love what you're doing there. I can't wait to hear about the new book that you're pushing out, but I can tell you this, if you haven't read 7 Levels yet, you got to get it. I give it to people outside of the real estate industry because it's about connecting in a human way for a greater connection between business and community and lifestyle. And that's what I've loved about it.
Wow. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another phenomenal episode of Referrals Podcast. If you like what you heard, rate it, review it, share it, whatever you want to do with Referrals Podcast. You're doing it already. Obviously, you're sharing this because we've seen this be such a success, and it's because of you, the listeners, the viewers, and just know how much we appreciate you. We will see you on the next episode of Referrals Podcast. Thank you, everyone.